You'll have to excuse me. I was listening to the Bear Necessities from Disney's Jungle Book. One of the greatest songs ever written. And if any of you ever need to get into the zone, or the flow if you prefer, listen to is it Bear? I guess it's the Bear Necessities. And I've got a few others leading into that, but I will look at that show album so I can see who the heck writes this, who wrote it. Walt Disney Records, Phil Harris and Bruce Reitherman. Okay, so we got some really zone producing music, not perhaps what most people would think of as getting into the zone, but you ought to see my audio track. I needed to forcibly get into the zone this morning because of distractions that could not be allowed. Sometimes your distractions cannot be allowed. So I'm going to pause that audio so that doesn't distract me. One controls their mind. One controls their mind. Your mind is yours. No one or nothing has the right to derail or otherwise precondition you for the day in ways you do not want for yourself. Journals like this and sound, what is that? That's a playlist. Playlists like that are tools to help you condition your mind. Okay, so I take it on faith I'm streaming. I didn't do all my pedantic double checking. It looked like I had 2 people joining in. But we will proceed in exploring the latest update to Windows. They are calling it a features update. I wasn't on top of this one. I didn't necessarily know anything was coming. And it was a long reboot. It was a long application of the patch or the update. It was on that blue screen for quite a long time. So that already was kind of a warning to me that something was amiss and I had to address it. I had to understand what was going on, especially in light of my recent attempts to do some fancy work that failed. So yesterday I tried getting it's LXD, Linux containers, and we'll call that standard Linux containers because Docker is not standard Linux containers, working under WSL2, which is the Windows subsystem for Linux, and failed due to a number of reasons. Things didn't work as advertised. The remedies were deep rabbit holes. I didn't have a successful journey through Wonderland yesterday. I'll probably address it again today, but that is not the purpose of this video, because when I came here this morning, as I point out at the top of this journal entry we got started with, I felt it was time for a full system reboot. And when I did, and I went down to here to the Windows logo, and here I saw the little red dot here on the power, which is indicative of a downloaded update waiting to be applied. Downloaded and not applied, because that's the way I have it set. So I thought, great, this must be the updates I'm waiting for. Maybe it fixes stuff, especially when it's a feature update. Things for Windows subsystem for Linux often get improved in feature updates. The things that take Windows 10 and inch it ever so closer to being a Windows 11, so that the final giving in to the Windows 11 compelling you to upgrade that Microsoft does is that much less of an intrusive upgrade, because all these little feature upgrades along the way have brought the two closer and closer together in all things but cosmetics. So, after the very long update process on the blue screen, it went to a black screen and never came back. I gave it a good 10 minutes, and then I held the power button down until it rebooted. And then I thought, this would be a good time to share with my audience my exploring of this update. Because I went into my view update history. If this is unfamiliar to people, this is really just settings, right? So I'll get it back from start, right? You go to where your muscle memory has now trained you. You can always get settings. How nice is that under Windows 10? I would really have liked this to have stayed the same under Windows 11. Click the logo. There's power, one up, and a one above that is settings, always and forever. And so you get into settings real easily. Windows up arrow key makes it full screen. Then we go into updates and security. As always, we check for new updates. There are no new ones right now because I just did this and I know there's none. But you do have the option now to view update history. So when this comes back, we're going to view update history, and then we're going to do a little bit of Googling together. Do I have a browser set up? Yes, I do have a browser set up. Is there anybody out there? I am in fact streaming. It's always good to check. It says it's, average duration. I thought that was saying it's 7:30. It's more like 8:40 p.m. now. And yeah, that's the browser window we'll be working in. This is where we'll be doing our Googling from. And we'll be doing it here. You see the blinking cursor there? A search starts from the blinking cursor in the menu bar. If you work too quickly or you click something accidentally, your search goes to down here where you can't change it from being Bing. Test. This is a Bing search. Test. This is a Google search. Notice the difference. That's the difference if you go too fast or too slow on the search thing. If you want a Bing search, that's fine. This will keep Bing a player in the search engine field for quite some time. However, if you're used to Google and you want to search in Google, that's quite manipulative because you can't change that. You'd have to use plugins or something, browser plugins, to get rid of that. You can't change the default search of this. In fact, you can't get rid of the Microsoft logo or strip away anything else. This is as far down as it can be stripped on a blank tab. I suppose that's Microsoft's right for having created this Edge browser, which is all from Google's browser code from their free and open source Chromium project, which is basically Google Chrome. But now I'm just rambling. Okay, you're up to date. Now we can go into view update history and get what we're going to Google on. You can see right here, see Control Plus won't make that bigger. I can't actually increase the size for that for you. But there's two feature updates, one which was applied on 4/22/2002. That doesn't sound like what was just applied. That's April, January, February, March, and that's March 22nd. And then there's this other one, 6/22/2021. That's even further ago, and they called it a feature update. So where is it? Where is it? Where is what was just installed? This is the first thing that bothers me. I wish I captured the process of installing these updates, so it could have shown it here. Quality updates. Let's see what else there are. feature updates, quality updates, driver updates, definition updates, other updates. Let's take a look in other. What we're looking for is today's date. There is today's date. Oh, cumulative update for .NET. And then there's this other one, Windows malicious software. So this is typical. This is normal. But I'm not seeing what I thought I was going to be seeing. I thought it was going to be a features update. I even had the name for it. It's 20-something. So let's make sure we know what was actually installed today. The fact that they nest it like this is a little bit troublesome. Make sure there's not really a features update in here. That's what I thought we were going to see. Quality updates. Oh, there's some in quality updates. Cumulative update for Windows 10. That's probably it. Okay, so let me copy. Does it let me copy? See, I can't even copy. How much lack of accountability is that? You can copy the word successfully installed, but you can't seemingly copy. Is that just a not being able to see the highlighting issue? I don't think so. So we're just going to get the numbers here, right? Because that will help us. This seems to be the culprit. KB5014, KB5014669. KB50664. Nope, KB5014. KB501. KB501. And then I lost it. View update history. Ugh. Quality updates. KB501 4699. 4699. Okay. So there's actually a bunch of updates. I don't know if they're all going to be numbered, but this is a .NET one. We don't have to look up every .NET thing. Their knockoff of Java is being updated. And this is old. So really, this is the important one. KB501 4699. KB501 4699. I got it. All right, that's the quality one. Now there was an other updates. It's cumulative one. KB501 3887. Okay, so we got two things to Google. We're going to see if there's anything else I'm missing that happened to my system during this update. This is the malicious software removal tool. Nothing really worth Googling here. And this is old. So other we got done. Definition updates. Yeah, antivirus stuff. That's not a problem. 615, it goes down to Defender. It's not just the intelligence. There's 3 intelligence things and 1 defender thing. Okay, so the viruses and Trojans are on the move. There's a lot of preventative measures against phishing and other scams going on. And then finally, drivers. Yeah, nothing important under drivers. Nothing under drivers. Okay, so let's start our Googling, right? There's this one. And thankfully, we will be able to copy out of the web browser. June 14th, right? So it's yesterday, and it reached me today on June 15th. Support.microsoft.com, top thing. So now we've got some names for it, right? Now I've got a little bit that can go into my journal. That's the first one we're talking about. And we'll explore that a little bit to see what the heck is going on. We released an out-of-band update to address an issue that might cause machine certificate authentication failures on domain controllers. All right. That's it. That's it. So even though it was categorized under feature updates, no, it wasn't. It was categorized under quality updates. That 699 is still a security thing. Now they say, before installing this update section in this article. See the before installing this update section in this article. So there's an article here. Maybe. They don't seem to be. I don't see before installing this update in this article. Is this an excerpt? So we go back. There's no link to the article. All editions, Windows Server. See, it's not even for server. All right, we can't do back button, so we'll do this, and we'll search for it again and see what else comes up. Oh, one thing I will do is put that in a new tab because, you know, I like to keep the URLs that I copied this stuff from in sync with it. In fact, why not just use the markdown way of doing it, right? So I can go like this and then do open parentheses, paste it, close parentheses. It'll cause a wrap. I hit 0 to go back. I can do Shift J to get it on the same line, but it's not necessary to do that. Oh, I can't wait to get off of Windows. Catalog. All right, we see this catalog from time to time when I do this research. That is the search on that thing that's coming up with this. Yeah, the catalog I have found to be very unuseful. It's like how you download them if it wasn't auto-inserted or if it wasn't auto-downloaded. So I guess that's about all we're going to get out of that one. Let's go to this other one. We'll make this an H2. Same with that. And we'll see what this one is about. There's that unuseful catalog, but here's the support.microsoft.com, which tends to be the more useful one. It's .NET frameworks. Includes cumulative reliability improvements. Well, in the .NET framework. Okay, prerequisites and restart requirements. Let's see if these are direct links to its prerequisites and restart requirements. At least it is, I think maybe it is for this particular. This is so hard to understand. Restart requirement. You must restart your computer after you apply this update. Okay, I saw that. So it seems to be mostly about security certificates and .NET framework stuff, and not about the real updates that I had thought, feature updates. That seems to be the same text, more or less. Yeah, it's a little bit different. So I'll pick that up. Put that here. And put its link here. I can Shift J that. Go over here and Shift J from the top line to get it all onto one line. And then put a little text about it down here. Summary. What else is that? Security improvements. There are no new security improvements in this release. It's cumulative. WPF addresses an issue is found. See, these are all .NET things, but not all. Look, .NET runtime. So there's this is outside. So it's about more things. DWM failures. Now is that DWM? That's the same thing as I had to apt install something on the Linux side. I don't think so. Yesterday I ended up having to apt install something that caught me by surprise. DKMS, now that's something different. DKMS and what they're talking about here. DWM, no, it just had some letters in common. WinForms, workflow, known issues. Release channels. All right. And the restart was for all .NET framework type stuff. So it is not what I need for fixing the problems I had yesterday. And for the sake of anyone who's joining along who was with me yesterday, there was something I realized I did wrong, and I'll point that out here. This line here, apt install Linux headers, I felt that this was supposed to be replaced by my actual username. I thought this was, put your username in here. But this is this type of syntax that makes your Windows kernel version or something get used in there. So I sudo apt installed this, thinking that was the problem, and it did not end up solving the problem. In fact, I'll show you where things are still crapping out, and I won't go too long because I'm going to be working on this on my own, separate from you people. I'm not going to burden you with my Charlie Brown kicking at the football, landing on my back, the Roomba hitting against the wall, turning a little and moving, but sudo actually executing this way without putting Ubuntu in there, which I thought foolishly the first time. So I run that, and it works. Oh, unable to locate package header. See, this now is what's going on. There's something having to do with Linux package headers, Linux headers that I'm supposed to be able to have in a certain location so that I can enable modules, ZFS modules, so that I can use that under LXD init. All right, let's clear and just show you sudo LXD init. This is where we're trying to go, initializing the Linux daemon system under here, Windows Subsystem for Linux, right? This is the thing that kicks off a nice little wizard. And look, it's not even kicking off the wizard anymore. It's just getting caught. And I know it's getting caught because I tried to add ZFS pools. So I can Control-C out of that, and I can go into CD tilde, no, it's not even tilde / it's just / etc, and then I can try sudo vim modules. And there's the ZFS entry that I put in there. I can take that entry out, save it, quit, go to a PowerShell. Ugh. See, I have PowerShell under, it's still Windows. There's PowerShell. Eventually it will not be Windows, ladies and gentlemen. I'm taking the advice of getting just my butt to Debian via Chrome OS more and more seriously now. This transition that Microsoft's trying to make easy is failing. And for me, it's failing on not getting Linux running side by side, because that's working just fine. Can I draw on this? If I hit, what do I hit? Share, edit and create. Draw. I can get this. Check. I can't get this. Let's change color. Do I have color control here? Yeah, I do. This, I can't get. This, I can't get. All right? I should be able to get these playgrounds under WSL. Windows Subsystem for Linux. But I seem to not be able to get these LXD things. So I'm going to I'm going to quit out of my journal, not make the mistake of creating those abandoned swap files by forcibly quitting. But this is going to forcibly reboot Linux, and you're going to see these things over here stop, and you're going to see a bug I submitted to Microsoft, a very disturbing bug that they still haven't gotten rid of. So it's WSL shutdown. And that's going to be the way to stop those modules from being loaded. The attempt to load the ZFS modules, which is what's freezing LXD init. So here you go, and just close out of it, right? Hey, wait, what? You can't close out of it? So what would someone do if they were not such an adept virtual desktop user to know that Windows tab gives you this interface and this interface gives you this little X in the upper right? What would someone do? They would just be stuck there in a full screen. Microsoft. All right, we don't need this anymore. We've been told that that really isn't the big update that I was hoping for. And you see this one is closed. I guess we can close that one there because we had access to that most outer X. And we just want to bring up terminal again because it's going to have rebooted now, you see. Next time we bring it up, this is actually undergoing a whole Linux boot process because of that WSL shutdown we did from PowerShell here. That command did that. And from over here now, I should be able to go sudo lxd init and not have it freeze. See, I know a little bit of what I'm doing, not everything, but enough. Now we do this, and the wizard should start in a moment, I believe. Maybe it's still freezing. Maybe I got the password and it's still frozen. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man. Ugh. 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 So stuff on my system has changed. So what's happened here is the pollution, it's real chicken and egg. What do you do for pollution? I'll do purple because it like transitioned it. This got polluted now from experimentation I was doing so that I didn't have to do experimentation. That kind of experimentation is supposed to go into these LXD things so I can experiment without polluting that host system here. Host system in the sense it's going to host the different LXD instances. But I got hit by chicken and egg. I can't get through the LXD initialization. See that, how it's locked there like that? That's bad. So let's do some quick Googling. This is where we do terminal. This is not where I do terminal. I'll move that over here. This is where I do web. We'll move web over here, even though that's where I normally do Jupyter. And then we'll move this one here so I can just quickly move between screens 1, 2, and 3. We'll bring my journal back. Journal back, journal back, journal back, journal back. By going right into the directory. I'm not going to do the all files right now. Miclev, it's mikelev.in, and then it's vimjournal.md, which will work right away because it's I quit out of it properly and it didn't create a swap file that I get that error message for when I forcibly do that in other ways. I'll do function F11, and then I'll slide that over here, and now I can see if anyone is there and saying anything. Bueller? These are not the updates I'm looking for. So try getting sudo lxd init unlocked. Edited ZFS out of etc modules. That's the first thing I did, and I restarted Linux under WSL. That's the second thing I did, and it's still locking up. It's still locking up. I'm certainly not going to be able to diagnose it completely, but I'll do a quick Google search with you. And just another thing here, we close these tabs out. We don't go too fast or else I stop streaming, because you can't stream without a browser. Get that into Electron, will you? Will you, Google? You invented Chromium and Electron. So extract the live streaming portions and put it in a program called Livestream, so that we can run it the same way we can run Jupyter from the desktop. Wouldn't that be nice? Run a live stream app just like Twitch has? It would be nice. We'll Control-C out of this, like that. That's how we do that. Ugh. Am I complaining too much? Be positive. Be positive. This is good stuff. The world is changing in ways where we can try to do this. We're trying to pull off miracles. So, LXD init freezing WSL2. I think I've looked at these before. And it's usually Ubuntu 18.04 they're talking about, because this is the last time it worked, I think. And they're saying it's got to be under this fast ring. This is the page I actually followed before that got it locking up. It got me to some low-level stuff. I remember this. Sudo service LXD start. That's a little different. Let's try that. LXD unrecognized service. So the LXD service is not it's not recognizing the LXD service. That's an issue. Now we can run sudo LXD init, really? Okay, so I guess we have something more to Google. It is LXD : unrecognized service. It's a problem that we're encountering that. Issues with running LXD containers WSL2. GitHub. This isn't promising, actually, right? Different messages than I'm getting. But there's rarely any harm in this. Look, we purge the existing LXD code. Not a problem. Always pretty, straightforward. It uninstalls what you have, and then it purges both the configuration files and anything in your caches, I believe. And so now we can install it again. Sudo apt install LXD. And now maybe we can start the service because it's on our machine now. Still LXD unrecognized service. Okay, so that didn't do it. This advice here didn't do it. Status of LXD on WSL. That's interesting, right? 2019. We'll see if there's anything new at the bottom. July 19th. Would be nice if you put years. 20 days later. Yeah, it's not so new. Made some progress, most notably June. See, this is the rabbit hole. Lets you run systemd. See, these were systemd problems for sure. Oh, look at that. How to run LXD containers in WSL. Oh, wait, that's that same one as I was doing. Great work. Ugh. Okay, so this person had some low-level stuff that they were suggesting for us. For some reason, LXD does not manage to mount sys for the containers. Therefore, we need to perform that ourselves. Okay, let's give that a try. Sudo su to promote ourselves to super user. Now we can do it. Oh, there already was a sudo in that command. How could that have failed? No such file or directory. Okay, so we have a series of make ders to do. There should be a recursive way to do it, but we can fix this generally by allowing it to do one directory level at a time. That one exists. We just made that one. And now we can make that one. All right, so that's that first command. Now we'll try mounting this as a mount point. All right, that took that command. Okay, it's always a good idea to do a sudo apt update. I did this yesterday, but even one day can make a difference. Sudo apt update. Well, we don't even have to. I'm going to exit so that I'm no longer super user. Now I have to use sudo in the commands. Sudo apt update. See, it's mostly going to be, security stuff, which is fine. Sudo apt upgrade. 6 packages can be upgraded, so why not? Let's always be on the very latest. Maybe it's related by some phenomenal coincidence. Look, Linux headers. There's Linux header stuff in what I'm doing. So maybe it does have to do with the very latest. Maybe you got to be on the, who knows. A lot of this is magic to me. I'm not saying that I understand all this stuff. I'm saying that I am adept at looking at the incantations of others and adapting those incantations for myself. That's how I created Levinix. If you go to levinix.com, you'll see my version of Linux. I'm not the kind of person who generally would put out a Linux distro, but I saw all the pieces and I respun it. It's better to call Levinix a respin than to call it a distro, because I took an existing version of TinyCore, existing versions of QEMU, BusyBox, and a bunch of these other things and mixed it together in a big old cocktail and attached it to icons that work with a double click from each desktop type. Look how much work this is really doing. This seems related to the kind of thing I'm doing, all this kernel stuff. I would not be surprised if another Linux reboot with WSL shutdown would be required to make this work. In fact, after this update or upgrade is done, I will do that just as an extra good measure, which means getting out of my journal again. Ugh, this vision I'm pursuing is such an alluring vision. Let's save as. Can I do a save as? Save a copy. Put that on my desktop. Gave it a new name already. So while this stuff is going on over here, I can give you a before and after instead of having to just look at this. 88% complete. Cleaning build area. Triggers. Triggers means it's close to being done. That original image should be there too. Yay! Now I can do a dramatic kind of effect here. We'll put it on a new virtual window. And that old one, wasn't that loaded? Yeah, that's here. That should be next to it. So I'll put my streaming software on yet another virtual desktop, and then I'll get rid of this one, making these two next to each other. Although I have them in the wrong order, so I'll move that one over there. And I'll move this one over here. And so now I can tell some stories. This is the vision. This is the reality. Vision, reality. Thanks, Microsoft. No, stay positive, Mike. Stay positive. You can do this. You just can't chase the rabbit down the rabbit hole indefinitely. That's the thing. There has to be a reasonable end to going after these things. But I really need it to keep pace with the kind of stuff going on in work without being forced to use my local Linux SSH connection to another box that would give me another pure top level. Although it has kind of a Kubernetes in it, so I can do some shell games. I've got backups. I've got contingencies here. This is a work server. This is an Amazon work server. And this is a home NAS, network application server, all of which I can run these Linux terminals on remote machines. So I've got success assured. I just want success assured in a more long-term viable way. So I quit out of that journal. I close that one. I see that this is done, and I do, just for good measure, just the same way that under Windows you might check system update more than once. It doesn't hurt to do a sudo apt update and sudo apt upgrade again one more time, and that PowerShell is sitting around here where I can do this forced restart. You'll see this thing goes all locked up, can't close out, got a full screen that you can't escape from. Windows tab, close out of that, and then bring it immediately back up. Force the reboot. Now I've got a lot of fresh stuff on the system. I've got the ZFS edited out of my modules. I'll double check that. Vim etc modules. Yeah, see, no ZFS in there. I didn't need root to just check it. And now let's take a look at other things on this page. So it's not me wanting to jump directly into the lxd init command again. I actually want to double check other things they're saying to do. Apt update. Look at that. Sudo apt install -y privacy. The containers will not have direct internet connectivity. Therefore, we need to use a web proxy. In our case, it suffices to use privacy. Let's install it. Privacy uses by default the port 8118, which means that if the containers can somehow get access to port 8118 on the host, they will get access to the internet. All right, so that whole update there was because I was up to this step, and we'll put this thing on my, we will further pollute the host machine with crap like I don't want to, so that we can get places so that we don't have to pollute the host machine with crap. Chicken and egg, as always. All right, so this is where we have to get very, very, very pedantic. I'll bring up my journal again. Following instructions under this location pedantically, because if you don't follow it right down to the back tick, things go wrong. Now we are good to go. In the following, we create a container with a web server and view it using Internet Explorer. Yes, IE has two uses, one to download Firefox and two to view the web server in the LXD container as evidence that all these are real. See, they're on Ubuntu 18.04 where this was last known to work. I am in the bleeding edge. A lot of this broke under 20.04. See, they're trying to launch a container, but I don't have that container yet. I'm getting stuck at a prior point where they were able to get past. So let's try again. Sudo service lxd start. Clear. Unrecognized lxd service lxd unrecognized service. Can you believe it? What came immediately above that? They're showing the problems that go wrong that they're solving with this network proxy thing. However, the LXD service is not running by default. We start it. Sudo service LXD start. LXD unrecognized service. So it's the LXD service under WSL, which is the showstopper here. Now this is the one we keep going into. Let's see if there's any other advice. Install snapd. So, you know, there's some things that I did on the video a few videos back having to do with that snapd. See, they're going right to sudo LXD init before they do sudo LXD start. So let's try the wizard again. Let's see if it gets locked up the way it did before. This was the problem right here. This locked it up. Something I had done in the prior videos had screwed this, and I might actually have to end up reinstalling my host version of Linux. I might have foobarred my first top level version of Linux, which is currently the only version of Linux on my machine, because of something I did yesterday trying to get all this Snap Store stuff working. Any insight from people? Function F11. Maybe there's just the right person watching to like save me. No, silence. Am I still streaming? Maybe I'm not streaming. There's people coming and going. That's fine. This will be fail number 2 on getting WSL. But, you know, we investigated that feature thing. This is now just gravy trying to get this thing going. So I can control C out of that. That's actually a good thing. Let's see sudo LXD help, right? Because help is often a thing that you can do on a command. Oh, look at that. Lock up on just help. Sudo LXD. Is it my installation of LXD that's a problem? Oh my goodness. Not just initializing. Sudo uninstall. So it's that purge command. It's probably in my command line history. Nah. Certainly here. Nope. It was on this one. Here. Yeah. Nope. It was then the GitHub one. Yeah, there it is. So if the install of if LXD isn't running at all, then we purge it. Now we should definitely have a different response, sudo LXD. It's just not going to be able to find it. This delay is actually okay. Although, no, actually not so much okay. By this time it should have said, hey, can't find it. Yeah, this is just not worth it. The rabbit hole goes too deep. Back off, turn a little. Do not fixate on this particular approach. Consider reinstalling, Linux, that top level Linux. Maybe go back to Ubuntu 18.04 if this is so important to me. What am I really getting out of 20.04 that's so important? This stuff worked under 18.04. Go back to 18.04. oh my God, reverting from 20.04 to 18.04 so that I can get LXD under WSL. That's probably a good idea. Yeah. Thanks for joining me. Say something now if you want this session to become interactive. And hope to see you again later, perhaps under Debian 18.04, because that's where it's documented to work. And I really need this. Yep. Later, Gators.